Are you on the edge of your seat? Because we're about to sound off with Kevin Williams, covering today's latest trends in location-based entertainment. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire. All right, everyone, let's buckle up.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to Sound Off number 80 with Kevin Williams. This is for July 1st, 2025. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, more important?
I'm doing great. I'm back in the office and enjoying some nice dialogue right outside my office door, which is perfect. And so it's great. Yeah, this is awesome.
Back home. I'm envious.
Back home, at least. Yes, back home. And pleasantly, it is below normal weather here. So it is only 105, 102 Fahrenheit. So we're below normal, which is great. Gotta love it.
Yeah, we're hot England, but not super hot. Not as hot as I was expecting it to be. But the next locality I'm going to after this will be even hotter. But anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
All right. Well, then let's dive in. Let's do some change my mind. What do you got for us today?
Well, one of the things that I've been involved in is working out the guest experience for a particular client, trying to work out what the client is prepared to spend, what they're prepared to do, and what they're really expecting when they cross the threshold. And one of the things that scares me a lot, especially from some of the research I've been doing, is I don't think our industry does enough research into what is the guest's expectations from coming into their facility, what they want to do. I pick a picture of a generic entertainment facility or amusement component to a larger entertainment venue. And what they've done is they have a number of machines out of their warehouse that have clustered together around power sockets to offer entertainment. And that will generate some level of revenue for that facility. But the question is, if they did something different, if they had the driving machines together, if they had competition, if they had even gone for a better layout on the flooring and the signage, could they see an improvement in their revenue by 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%? And when you put a gun to the head of some of these operators, especially the GMs at some of these facilities, they do the bare minimum of themality, design, and guest experience travel, because they are very hard-pressed individuals that have to juggle the bumper cars, the operation, the staffing, the food, the marketing. They have no revenue set aside for a dedicated guest experience application. And I'm wondering how much cheddar our industry is laying on the table for other people to consume because we miss out on what we're trying to do, which is to offer entertainment experiences to our guests.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we know a lot of the distributors offer some of these services as well, the game floor layouts. And I think we know a little bit more detail about this one. It's not necessarily a generic specific one that we picked out. Some of those who may be a little bit more eagle-eyed might be able to identify what this is. But, what I think we'll say is, a lot of it also determines on what, is dependent on whether or not this is a revenue share opportunity with the distributor, or just selling the games and providing a light service of game layout to try to get the most games crammed into a space as possible. Again, depending on what the motivation of the distributor is. So if you're a venue looking to drop to make to put in a facility like this and add amusements, add redemption, be very careful about the conversations you're having with your distributors when you're making these purchases and determining where this stuff should be.
Fundamentally, there's always a lot more going on behind the scenes with a project like this. It isn't just a clean piece of paper and a big bag of money and away you go. There's the availability of the machines, the timing of the opening, the access to the facility, the architecturals, all of those things. But we are in the entertainment industry, and we are in a crowded entertainment industry. And if you are not prepared to go the extra mile and take the detail and the needed resources to make a special entertainment site, someone else will, and they will come along, eat your lunch and close you down. So I think it's important for our industry, especially in the North American amusement side, to really think about the game experience a lot more than just where you can place machines.
Oh, I was muted there for a minute. All right, awesome. Well, we will get back into, so we'll kick off, not kick it back in. We'll kick off some trend discussions right here after the break. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon.
Well, thank you, Intercard. And let's jump into the trends, and we'll deal with the biz first. And the doors have been thrown open for the first public experiences. This happened in May, but I think it's been a gradual process with our friends at Legoland Shanghai. Legoland Shanghai is an amazing venue, from the fly-throughs that I've seen, from the walkthroughs and the videos that have been shared across the internet and through other sources. This is a real tour de France of what type of development you can do when you have a very high level IP branding and a group of individuals that have a lot of experience in the theme park and the resort process. I wouldn't call this a theme park. I would call this an attraction park or an attraction entertainment facility, or even an indoor location-based entertainment resort. I would go that far. I think that they have really come up with something that is much more of a hybrid between the theme park and an attraction park, and understanding Shanghai's audience demographics and the high net worth of many of the people there. They've really gone the extra mile to come up with a very special entertainment facility. I am not sure, again, how much Merlin's Magic Makers were involved in the development of this process compared to the land operation in Shanghai that are the owners of this particular franchise. But from what we've seen, it incorporates attractions developed by our friends at Triotech and other European and Canadian developers and North American developers. So it is using all of the toys in the toy box and creating quite a special venue, which, once it fully opens in the next couple of days, will be very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the most impressive Legoland park that we've seen to date. I would love to get there and check it out. I do wonder if they kept the audience still the same, like the really core age, which is that 12 and under for Legoland, or if they tried to go for a slightly more elevated audience participation depending on the attraction mix. I'm actually trying to get to their website right now, and the .cn is blocked for me, so maybe that's an issue here in just my area or something. But anyway, so I can't get to their actual website to see their attraction mix right now. But even the pictures that are posted here, they're really impressive.
It is a unique derivation of we have a number of Legoland facilities already operational from their theme parks and resorts in Windsor and Bad, but we also have the Legoland Discovery Zones. And I think seeing what they've achieved with Shanghai, they're going to have to really go back to the drawing board and up their game across their North American and Western applications. Positive. Pinstripes, some of you will have heard a little bit of us touching upon this in our previous open and shut. Here, the details are still a little bit vague, but Pinstripes had been suffering last year from a downturn in its numbers. We have final numbers being reported that they were seeing an operating net loss of about 3.2 million, and that they'd seen a 7.7% drop in their same store sales. That is quite similar to the 8.3 and some of the other numbers we've seen from the other entertainment venues such as Topgolf and from Dave & Buster's. All of those companies had some fats to call back on and to redevelop themselves and to try and address the downturn. It feels that our friends at Pinstripes are not in that comfortable position So they have started the process to look at Chapter 11 protection. As we record this, that hasn't been issued yet. And we have reports from the C-suite management that they intend to keep their 18 facilities open during the process of getting their bankruptcy protection and whatever the future holds, which is either a toss-up between receiving an injection or an infusion of new capital from a new investment operation or being acquired. All of those are on the table. And as of this moment, it is still unknown how the operation is going to resolve the situation. We have to remember Dave & Buster's has gone through protection. Our friends at Chuck E. Cheese went through protection, but most of that was brought on by the impact of COVID and the need to defend themselves against that. I get the feeling that Pinstripes had hoped that they wouldn't need to go through that process after COVID, and it has finally come and bit them in the bum. That said, they also would be a very choice target for acquisition if someone is prepared to hold their nose regarding the debt that they've incurred.
Yeah, this one is frankly not surprising. From the first time I walked into a Pinstripes, I was impressed. I mean, I was impressed by the build, impressed by the food and the drinks, but the entertainment was lacking, and it was much more a restaurant than it was an entertainment venue. They had bocce ball off to the side, but they really had full tables. And yes, you could eat a little bit while you're playing bocce or while you were playing bowling, but it was really a restaurant with some small entertainment component. And that, they just didn't market themselves as a restaurant first, right? They really marketed themselves as a entertainment venue. And we talked about Pins Mechanical on the LBX shows Open and Shut, and talked about the fact that Pins Mechanical isn't fundamentally different in their attraction mix. They don't have bocce, but they have yard games. Yes. And so they're very similar. However, Pins Mechanical is focused very much on being a social entertainment destination with food, where Pinstripes, the layout is, the way their whole build is, when you walk in, it's very much like coming into a restaurant. They really focus on the restaurant first and then the entertainment. And I think that is the differentiator between Pins Mechanical success and Pinstripes.
As the tagline says, it's bistro, bowling, and bocce. If that's your perception, if you are a bistro that may have some bowling and may have some yard games, fantastic. And, the last time I was in Pinstripes having a conversation with a GM in there, he was treating the arcade machines, because many of these venues have arcade machines in there. They would just say, the people who supply our vending and maintain our bowling balls have some amusement. We've dropped it in. It was a secondary or even tertiary perception. And it didn't really matter what they had. They had a pinball and they had a couple of big buck hunters and maybe something else. That's not an attitude if you are a competitive socializing entertainment venue to have. Going back to what we were saying about the guest experience, the guest walks through the threshold of this facility and maybe they have gone on to one of the internet services and TripAdvisor has told them of entertainment facilities that have drinks and food in their area, and they've picked Pinstripes, and they walk through the front door, and what they're greeted with the smell of the shoes waiting to be used by the bowling people, because some idiot decided to put the bowling shoe rental component next door to the reception. The particular venue that I was at had that problem. That is just not understanding what you're offering unless you're into selling cheese. The key component that we need to be mindful of is just because you have entertainment doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to have a social entertainment crowd. And seeing a 7.7% decline last year, it will be interesting to see whoever takes on bringing Pinstripes back from the edge, how they're going to address what we were talking about right at the beginning of this presentation, the guest experience. Moving on, and some news about growth and our friends Altitude. They have about 100 facilities internationally, dotted all over the place. They are an active entertainment facility. They are much more than a trampoline site now. They have pushed heavily on the active family fun tagline. And the operation now has made it clear that they have set their sights on increasing the rollout plans that they have. Their facilities average about 50 to 80,000 square. They have a mixture of trampolines, jump, slide, active entertainment. Not as much amusement as some other active entertainment facilities, but I know that Altitude is now looking at what other components from active entertainment that they can parachute into their operation. So for 2025, we're looking at about 4 or 5 new facilities opening up from Missouri to Indiana to Nevada and the rest. And then we're talking about in the following year, 2026, they're looking at an opening schedule of between 12 and 15 facilities. That is ambitious, incredibly ambitious, understanding the competition that they'll be going up against. I can list off about 20 different large-scale active entertainment chains, European, North American, and UAE and Adriatic, that are really going to be fighting for that market. But it shows that active entertainment is going to be a battleground that could give competitive socializing a run for its money.
Yeah, it's already such a saturated market. It's remarkable to me that we can continue to see, or at least have aspirations to grow at this scale. They did just announce a couple of days ago, well, a few more than a couple of days ago by the time this was running, a new director of franchise development, Jarek Pasgan Lorenzo. And he has come on to spearhead this growth, right? So he's coming over from Shelf Genie and Kiddo Kinetics. So not in the entertainment space necessarily, but definitely familiar with franchise growth space and general active fitness stuff. So Kiddo Kinetics being active fitness. And yeah, so I mean, he's here to help them grow, and they really need to step on the gas. Altitude's been pretty stagnant in their growth for the last few years, while other brands like Urban Air and Sky Zone, et cetera, and others have really pushed forward in the U.S. market, especially. And so it'll be interesting to see what Jarek is able to do.
Urban Air, of course, had some announcements about some investment that they've taken on board to grow their operation. So this is heating up, and I wouldn't be surprised if investment money is being thrown at various operations to try and grab the lion's share of the market. Talking about active entertainment and the inclusion into your entertainment mix, Peter Piper Pizza, if you're not familiar with the chain of Chucky Light entertainment facilities and pizza, they have about 120 facilities dotted around North America, mainly Mexico Way, New Mexico Way, and Texas.
Arizona has a number as well. I grew up going to Peter Piper Pizza right down the street from my house, basically.
Yes, it's the argument of which pizza is more interesting, the Peter Piper or the Chucky. But anyway, I'm not a aficionado on that. The interesting thing is that, like with what we've been talking about with Chuck E. Cheese recently, the increase in their active entertainment component, their trampoline and jungle gym setup, our friends at Peter Piper have also announced that they have added a brand new concept to 24 of their facilities, which are the Peter Piper Player Parks. Don't say that when you've had a drink. And the issue here is active entertainment in concert with their amusement and entertainment, but definitely its own thing, and it is a dedicated component. So not every one of the Peter Piper Pizza entertainment facilities will have this. So this is touching on 2 levels of investment. Number one, adding a secondary entertainment offering to your operation. One. Number two, the most important, active entertainment regarding a brand that is seen to be pizza, pizza and arcade. Adding that active entertainment component kind of raises the threshold on what you're offering. And number 3, staying up with the Joneses. If our friends at Chuck E. Cheese is doing this, they'd better be doing this if they want to stay relevant.
Yeah, well, and given the fact that Peter Piper is owned by Chuck E. Cheese Entertainment, or EC Entertainment,
EC. It's best that Chuck E. Cheese is a brand. CEC Entertainment is.
Yes, exactly. So it's not surprising to me that having that, especially with the larger scale rollout that's Chuck E. Cheese is doing with their fitness zones, that we're seeing a very similar play happening at Peter Piper. Although at the same time, I would think if they're wanting to differentiate their brands within CEC Entertainment a little bit, then it seems like they're trying to almost blend them together a little bit more as far as the attraction mix is concerned. So, they obviously learned that kids like active play from Chuck E. Cheese, so why not take their other brand and implement that as well? But it does decrease the separation between the two.
And not all, if you know the square footage that Peter Piper's have compared to a normal Chuck E. Cheese, or the modern interpretation of the Chuck E. Cheese, you know that not all of these venues have the square footage to be able to drop in this kind of jungle gym enclosure. Again, I'm not sure if CEC is sharing technology of their soft play active entertainment environment with both brands, but it is clear that their thinking is along the same lines. Talking about along the same lines, and as we foretold or guessed, wet finger in the air, that it wouldn't be long before we'd be hearing about the Sega store that had opened in Shanghai, seeing its mate opening in Tokyo. We had confirmation a couple of days from recording this, or a day from recording this, that the Sega store Tokyo will be throwing its doors open at the end of the year. It's located in a mall area of Tokyo where there is already a Bandai Namco large facility, as well as a Taito large facility and a Capcom large facility. So they're hedging their bets, and they're throwing their franchise and merch toy store brand into the deep end to see if they've learned the lessons from the Shanghai opening. It's going to be interesting to see when they open the New York. I'm going to take the risk and say when they're going to open the New York venue, or the Los Angeles venue. That would be an interesting one. Which one of the North American cities would they pick for their next opening, number 3? This comes at a time when Sega has really ramped up the energy concerning its IP. We have news breaking that Sega is working with a number of theme park and attraction venues to build E-based attractions based upon their IP. This follows on from the success that they've had with the Sonic movie franchise, and the idea of opening up dedicated experiences based upon this IP just is too attractive not to mix. We've seen this happen with Angry Birds. It is an obvious path for them to go down, though for Sega, as we saw at IALPA last year, they have been actively looking for people that wanted to license their intellectual properties and brand to place into this sector. So we are now beginning to see the fruits of this. And just on a side note, talking about their amusement facility operation, which is now owned by Genda, but Sega Japan still is active at selling amusement products into the market. They are celebrating the 40th anniversary of their UFO catcher, which is one of the most phenomenally popular of the crane catch-em-all systems, UFO, unidentified furry object collectible systems. That system has underpinned the drive that we're now seeing in the new generation of the new wave of crane machines. And it's interesting to see really Grandpa celebrating its anniversary as that aspect of the market explodes.
Yeah, I mean, this, especially given the particular location this is going in Tokyo, is it's not surprising, although it is a little bit surprising that Sega took so long to get here. But we've got Nintendo Tokyo, Capcom store.
Yep.
It's they have a Capcom store and then a Pokemon Center, all in this same Shibuya Parco area. And so I think I think it's interesting that Sega is finally catching up at some level here.
Yeah, it's clear that the internal management restructuring at Sega has now focused on their IP and their licensing. And part of being able to do that is to have a phygital process, the same way that Nintendo has done that, the same way that Bandai Namco has done that, and others. And I wouldn't be surprised in the next year or so that we see a flurry of openings of Sega stores, as well as possibly the announcement of partnerships with other venues towards pushing the brand with another with another Sonic film about to be released in the next couple of months. I'm not sure if it's this year or next year. The next Sonic release is due, as well as Michael Bay working on a film based on Outrun, the arcade classic. Sega is definitely in the sun. They want to make some hay. Moving away from the industry to the trends and the tech of those trends. As I said at the beginning, the phygital approach towards the game space that we are creating is essential. And I just grabbed the latest picture of an installation that's just gone in Japan. If you are opening a location-based entertainment facility with amusement component and you can't wow your audience to that level, then you're going to have to seriously think about what you're doing in the amusement side. It is not just about the amusement machines, it is also about the presence and the atmosphere and the experience that you are offering the audience, and that is really a fundamental example of that kind of level of engagement. Interesting things here. I wonder if you parachuted this Japanese concept directly into a North American facility, if it would be as popular as I would expect it to be in Japan. We have the music games, we have the active entertainment ride-on amusement systems. We have the cranes. We even have interactive darts in this particular facility. It's a question about how we are laying out our operation for our future generation. Are we future-proofing, or are we just trying to live off of our previous heyday? Something to consider. Moving on, and we talked about in Open and Shut the explosion that we've seen literally in the shooting game sector, where previously I had talked about the explosion of deployments of the augmented reality and gamified dart systems. We talked about the explosion investment in the simulator bays for golf systems, and also in the racing simulator side. And now the next one on the list is the shooting simulator. And a number of the venues that we have been talking about that have been opening in the last few months have incorporated a shooting simulator system in their makeup, be that sports shooting or practice weapons training or shooting gallery or even archery. As a means to offer a unique skill-based entertainment offering, from the shotgun blasting gamification that we see with clays, all the way down to the realistic pistol shooting that we see in Scotland with Point Blank, and many other companies in between. And the latest entry, HD Golf, well known for their golf simulator bay systems and their ball tracking technology for both consumer and for enterprise application, have now been pushing their shooting simulator system through their sports suite platform. Again, if you're opening a competitive socializing operation, you may be thinking about your augmented reality darts, you may be thinking about your technology-infused mini golf, but now you may have to think alongside your golf simulation bays to have a shooting simulation set up.
Yeah. I mean, this is if you watch the Open and Shut segment from the LBX show just a couple of days ago, it was shooting, shooting, shooting. And so this is definitely, if you're going to have simulator bays, it would be wise to definitely make sure that your simulator bays do have some shooting components. Although I do think the use of the way that you use your shoot, like if you're going to have separate sports bays or golf bays and then separate shooting bays, I think it'd be useful to think about doing those separately versus trying to put everything into a single bay and giving your guests options.
I had a number of companies come to me when I was talking about this last year, and they say, "Oh, we do shooting," and I go, "Well, how do I know you do shooting?" He goes, "Oh, well, all we have to do is turn this thing off and move this tray here, and then turn this thing on, and then we have the shooting. Where's the advertising for that? Oh, we're thinking about that. Where's the pricing? Where's the structure? Where's it in your website?" Just because your technology can do two things doesn't mean that you should do that. Dedicating a bay to golf, a bay to football, a bay to shooting might not be effective for you. But if you have a flexible system, you can calculate which are the most popular at what point in the time, and then transfer seamlessly over with the proper signage and the presentation. And also we have two types. We have the shooting at the screen, as well as the physical shooting objects, the pellets or the BBs or the soft airs. Those things need to be considered because of their tactility, because of the experience, and because of the enjoyment that the audience gets out of this. You need to be mindful of what you're offering, but you also need to present to the audience what you're offering, or else you're just hiding your light under a bushel. One of those interesting situations where we see a re-release. This was a painful one for me. When I first came across Bumble Beer, they had launched Killer Queen. I saw the 10-player setup of the system originally, but they've created over the years different versions of it. I think the one in the picture here is their 5-player setup.
I think ultimately, though, just for clarification, it's 5 on each side, right?
Yeah.
So you can do 10, but this is a 5 on each side. Yeah.
The first time I saw the machine, they just had it connected together, and it was 10 players, and it was a mad play. But you can cut it down the middle and separate the two. Thank you for the clarification. The issue with this is it's joust. It is joust multiplayer. Chaos and confusion playing. It's a very strong audience game with people shouting at each other, and it's fun. It is a fun amusement game, but it is out of the box. It is not your standard amusement play game, especially because of the large audience that it can attract on playing, but also the audience that it attracts to utilize the system. And when the company first showed this was at one of those hackathons, and they were thinking about breaking into the amusement market. They had dropped their prototype system into a bar, and they were scratching their heads about what they wanted to do. And, we in the amusement industry advised them that, this, if you're going to release it as an amusement piece, you have to fulfill certain things. You have to have the proper Mars mech. You have to have the proper cabinet construction. You're going to have to go through a distributor. And that was the mistake that we made. At that time, we handed this type of product over to distributors with the hope that the distributors would have enough nous, enough brain power to see that this was a unique product that needed unique handling, and it was going to have to be specially sold into the sector. Well, sadly, the companies that Bumble Beer went to help them get this into the market didn't really help them as much as they can, because they just didn't understand what they had. They had lightning in a bottle, and they just opened the lid, and that was that. And the game didn't perform as well as it could do, and it became a bit of a hanger queen. Well, the company is relaunching Killer Queen again. They've updated the software. They have learned a lot of lessons about how to get this type of machine into the right audience market. This is much more of a competitive socializing amusement piece than a conventional FEC amusement piece. They've improved the way that new players can jump on board. They've also made other minor tweaks to the play and to the presentation, and we wish them a lot of luck now returning to the market, dusting themselves off, and giving it another go, and look forward to reporting on how many units they can place into the market with this new initiative.
Yeah, I really do hope that this complimentary tutorial mode does help with the engagement of, for the game. This game is a lot of fun. Like you said, it is a great social experience. If the players really know how to play, everybody really gets into it. It's a lot of fun.
If they know.
If they know exactly. And this is one of my biggest issues with this game is, and this is why I hope this really changes, is we talk about in social entertainment making sure your attractions are accessible. And we don't mean, again, accessible as far as ADA is concerned. We mean accessible as being able to walk up and play. And how quickly can we just get engaged and play with a bowling alley? If we need to, with the bowling lane, we can throw up the bumpers and I can roll down a ball and I'm going to knock over pins and it's going to be a fun experience. We're all going to high five, right? If I walk up to an augmented reality darts and I throw a dart up there and it hits hits a screen, it's going to be fun. We're going to be able to figure it out and play. This is where, if we're going to have a social entertainment arcade game, need to be able to do very similar things. This is why I really like PlayMind and their Playbox, right? It's very accessible, easy group fun and social interactivity in an arcade or redemption component. And so I do hope
Arcade Arena.
Arcade. No, when we talk about immersive enclosures, certainly Arcade Arena, Cubics, like those, yes, for sure.
And Jump on, play.
Yep.
Want to do it again.
Exactly. And so anyway, if anybody is interested in trying out Killer Queen, because I know they're only in 80 venues, or at least 80 units anyway in circulation, this particular picture here is clearly Area 15's Asylum Bar and Arcade. So you can always go and play at Area 15 in their Asylum Bar.
Can you?
Well,
I don't know.
The last time we were there, it was shut down. So it might be, so that is very true, actually. It may be back up and running, but you're right. The last time we were there, it was shut down.
I hope in a couple of days' time to be able to report back if that is still operational.
Yeah.
But the picture is from that venue during. We really hope that the friends at Bumblebee are prepared to take on advice beyond the distributor side for this product, because it does serve a purpose for this industry. Maybe a partnership with Alan Wan is the best approach that they should go for. But again, I'm not here to give free consultancy.
Well, and that may compete too closely with their Avian Knights game as well.
Boo-hoo, sob. Rounding up the last part of this, and it's kind of talking about the periphery of the entertainment sector that impacts our industry. So we are in the out-of-home leisure entertainment industry, and if you're watching this, hopefully you're watching this for the value of the out-of-home entertainment sector that we're bringing. But we also have to be mindful that we're all part of a larger entertainment industry that includes the music industry and the film industry and the consumer games industry. The consumer games industry is going through what could be a major transition of the business. It is a vastly profitable business, as we can see, with a vast number of 15 million Switch 2s that have been launched at sale, and the business that our friends at Sony do with their PlayStation, as well as our friends at Microsoft with their Xbox division. But there has been on the horizon for some time a change in the way that the consumer video games industry business is working. We've seen the explosion in portables, online gaming and mobile gaming, and also the transition away from utilizing console hardware. And Microsoft has decided to implement a new approach to the business where they are less focused on the console and more on the content. They want to be able to have their content available on as many platforms from other companies, not just their own. One of the big announcements that we had this week as we're recording it is that our friends at Meta, through their Reality Labs division, and their virtual reality headset operation, has decided to release a Xbox infused limited edition version of their MetaQuest 3S. This is a little bit of history repeating itself as one of those that's been following the VR sector since the beginning. Back in 2016, our friends at Meta, which was then Oculus, had actually released their first headset using a Xbox controller, because at that time there was still some concern about whether the freestanding virtual reality experience was going to be enough for VR, or whether people would be able to get their brains around the concept easier if they were using traditional gamepad controllers. That fell by the wayside, and Oculus became part of Meta, and Meta went their own way and painted the units white and focused heavily on VR until they stopped focusing heavily in VR and now have pivoted into mixed reality and augmented reality. But during that process, the Microsoft relationship has continued. And Meta has decided, again, to release one of their headsets with a gamepad controller. So in virtual reality, you can play these Xbox flat screen games or pancake games, depending on what type of nerd you are. You can play these within the virtual environment. The same way you can watch movies within the virtual environment. With big screen, you will be able to create the world's largest flat screen in your virtual environment and play flat screen games, not VR games, but flat screen games in this system. You can also play VR games, but that is not part of the Xbox offering. This is just flat screen gaming writ large. And it's interesting to see this move. But then it kind of is put into sharp relief of what's happening here. We are seeing Microsoft pivoting away from building hardware and looking more and more towards the software and the cloud software release, games as a service, downloadable. And so Xbox has partnered with AMD, and you will be able to get an Xbox Pass, Game Pass for your AMD card, which means that when you plug in your fantastic PC graphics system, you will have access to the wide selection of Xbox games. There's also a partnership with Xbox and Steam, so you'll have access to your Steam accounts, as well as our friends at Xbox releasing a partnership with a Game Deck mobile game tablet system. All of these indicate a transition from hardware to software business. But please understand, we are in the hardware business as physical facilities, bricks and mortar, that also has to be mindful about the content that we have in our facilities. So we're at that very interesting juxtaposition in the entertainment market, where a lot of those Venn diagrams that I so like to play around with are now intersecting, and where Meta may feel it's better for them to have a partnership with a content provider directly to try and salvage their sales slump across their VR systems. We, in the location-based entertainment sector, are now fascinated about having partnerships with IP holders towards maximizing our audience potential, as was seen with our discussions about Netflix.
Yeah. This is another interesting move by Microsoft. They really talk about in their press release this idea of being platform. I'm going to use the term platform agnostic. So you could start playing a game on the MetaQuest 3S Xbox Edition. That's a long thing to say, but it is, the MetaQuest 3S Xbox Edition. And then you can stop playing, but then you can pick up where you left off on your console. So you can actually continue your gameplay on your console. And then, maybe you've moved into your room or something and you can continue to play on your PC. The Xbox on your PC, without losing any of your achievements or saved data. And so the whole idea is that you're able to just continue through this cloud gaming experience using whatever hardware you decide you want to use at that particular time. Maybe you want your remote, and so you want to be able to take your MetaQuest headset with you versus disconnecting your entire console to go over and play with a friend. So I do think that for at least a period of time, Microsoft will continue to manufacture and release consoles. I don't think we've seen the end of console gaming entirely, but I think we will continue to see this move from a single console, being tied and tethered to a single console and being platform agnostic to be able to have your gameplay. And maybe if you want the best experience for a particular game, you go to the console or you go to the Quest, depending on what type of experience you're looking to have.
Or you have 4 levels of engagement. This isn't the first time that I've been involved with projects where you would start off with the consumer system and then the high-end experience would be supplied by an amusement or a simulator-based system. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see that old chestnut revisited where, shall we say, I play Halo on my console, and then I can play the Halo simulator at a family entertainment center, which reloads where I left off on my home game. You know, all of those older bunnies like myself remember the Neo Geo, which dream had been that you would play at the arcades and then rent the system and take it home and be able to carry on where you left off using your memory card. Well, the memory card isn't needed now because we have these lifetime cloud-based game services. It is just how much the consumer games industry will want to embrace the higher level experience that could be achieved through the location-based entertainment version of their digital experience that opens up a brand new world of opportunity, though I'm going to get to say I told you so.
Yeah, I like the idea of the simulator. I've often thought of the model where you have side quests that you maybe do that are only available at a family entertainment center to earn you specific achievements or get you a certain number of credits or whatever the currency is, the in-game currency, by going into the family entertainment center venue, doing that in a unique experience that then gets you that you can only have in venue, and then you go back and continue playing at home.
I worked on a project concept for a particular console company where the example used in the discussion document was, think of the Death Star, those gun emplacements on the Death Star shooting at the TIE fighters and the X-Wings as they're flying around. Just think of those turrets being manned by people on console gaming systems or on tablet systems, while the people in the simulators are flying the TIE fighters and the X-Wings. That kind of approach to multi-layer interactive entertainment in a seamless constant game experience back in the 90s and the noughties, when these were first voiced, was a pipe dream. Now the technology is ubiquitous and we can do that. It's just having the impetus and the right franchise and the right properties and the right venues to actually applicate it. It's not about if this will happen, it's about when this will happen. Anyway, for all of you that want to keep up to date with the latest developments across the sector, hopefully you've subscribed to the Stinger Report and our various podcasts. And if you have any questions, you can hit me up. Don't forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, to subscribe. Oh dear, I'm becoming a YouTube subscriber podcaster. Anyway, is there anything that I've missed off?
No. I mean, it was a great discussion, and already looking forward to the next one.
Pleasure is all ours. Speak to you then.
Cheers.